Good morning. So I welcome you again for the second session of the day. So here we'll be discussing about sources of the Indian Constitution. Let's try to understand what exactly is this. So we have understood what is the Indian Constitution and we have seen what is the historical background in a detailed manner. Now let's try to understand the sources of the Indian Constitution. What do you mean by this? We have prepared the Constitution by working for a long period of time. So during that time, we have spent 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. So much of time has been spent for making of the Constitution. But when you are making the Constitution for the first time, obviously there is a necessity to have some experience. But India was under the clutches of the British rule. Hence, there was no direct experience of participating in the Constitution making. Otherwise, there was so much of demand for the making of the Constitution that was started much before we got the independence. These points I will tell you when I talk to you about the making of the Constitution. But at the time of making of the Constitution, where from we have taken the principles that are present in the Constitution. For example, here we have a concept of fundamental rights. Everybody knows it. The concept of fundamental rights is a part of the Indian Constitution today, but there should be a source for that. From which Constitution you have taken it? That is nothing but American Constitution. It does not mean that everything whatever we have in Indian Constitution has been taken from some other constitution. At the time of preparation of the Constitution, we went through so many other countries' constitutions which are already existing during that point of time. But the fundamental principle in any constitution is the welfare of the people. Whatever may be the type of the government that is present, maybe parliamentary form of government or the presidential form of government. Ultimately, you are supposed to work for the welfare of the people. For that reason, the basic tenets or the basic principles of any constitution should be common. The method of approaching them, the method of fulfilling the obligations may be different, but the underlying principles are expected to be same. Hence, India, the Constituent Assembly, we have decided to adopt the Constitution and its principles from various sources. Source in the sense, what is the other constitution or what are the other constitutions and what are the principles from where we got it. For example, just now I told you about fundamental rights. The source of the fundamental rights that is present in the Indian Constitution is American Constitution. Similarly, we have a concept called rule of law. And for the rule of law, the source is UK Constitution. This is what we are going to have a discussion. During that time, there was a criticism against India, that is against our Constituent Assembly, saying that the Constitution what you are making is a copied Constitution. But our Constituent Assembly members rejected this particular statement and they made it very, very clear. Our Constitution is a borrowed Constitution. There is no doubt that we have read the other constitutions and we borrowed the principles from there, but not as it is. We have read the constitution of some other country and whatever we felt that is feasible and flexible to be adopted into the Indian system, only that has been taken and we have modified that to suit our needs and requirements so that the aspirations of the people will be fulfilled. Then we have added to our constitution. Hence, the Constitution of India is a borrowed constitution. Kindly remember this. But otherwise, Every country has got its own constitution and it is unique in its own way. Similarly, Indian constitution is a very, very, very detailed constitution. Each and every principle the constitutional frameworks try to explain in an elaborate manner so that there will not be any confusion in the future. Hence, it is a detailed constitution. But now let me talk to you regarding the sources exclusively and from what is the point, what is the principle, and from where we have borrowed it. Let's try to understand. Okay, so let me open the document. We'll have a discussion one after the other. During our discussion, we'll come across with so many other constitutions like American Constitution, UK Constitution, USSR Constitution, Germany, South Africa, Australia, Japan. So many things are there. We'll try to have a discussion. And another point I would like to tell you that this class is also very, very important for us for a better understanding of the constitution regarding the future classes what I am going to take. It is because we are going to come across with various terminologies. Lots of terminologies coming into picture, and I will be explaining you each and every term in a very, very detailed manner. And later, if you read any book or if you watch the news, television news, or if you read the newspaper, then it will become easy for you to understand the majority of the things. That's the reason. Don't be in a hurry. Let's go very slowly. Be with me. Let's walk together so that you will be understanding so many things. So many things will be there to understand. Okay. So I'll be opening the document, and during our discussion, if I am talking something about Indian Constitution, if I am taking something from American Constitution, what exactly is the difference between these two? These points also we'll try to see here. Meaning, let's try to compare the Indian system with other countries' system so that we'll be enhancing our knowledge and our ideas will be broadened. Let's look into this. So this is the point. Sources of the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution was borrowed from many sources. So many are there. We'll try to see one after the other. Let us begin with the first one. Government of India Act 1935. In the morning itself, we have seen that Government of India Act is considered to be one of the major acts for India that was made by the British government. So this is what we have understood during that time, right? I'm sorry. Now, when we have so many other constitutions from where we have borrowed so many things, I am deliberately putting Government of India Act 1935 at the first position. It is because this particular act is considered to be the major source of the Indian Constitution. So many sources are there, but highest source is the Government of India Act of 1935. And whatever we have in the Constitution today, majority of the areas have been taken from that particular Act of 1935. Hence, that act is very, very important for us. Kindly remember, maybe a possible question in the examination, which is the major source of the Indian Constitution? Answer should be Government of India Act 1935. Apart from this, let me also make one clarification. When we start reading the preamble, we'll come across with the words like, the preamble begins like this: we, the people of India. Meaning the Constitution was prepared by the people of India. What exactly is the meaning of this? When I come to that area, I'll have a detailed discussion. And in one of the examinations some time back, I heard that which is the highest source of the Indian Constitution. They have given ABC And D, they have given the people. Kindly remember, it is the people of the nation which is considered to be the biggest source. And if you remove that one, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 options, and if you have Government of India Act of 1935, that will be the answer. Let's go into the details of this. Let's try to have a discussion. Now, look at this. Let me open the document. Yes, if you look at the first point, this is the major source of the Indian Constitution. If you look at the number one is this. Let me remove this one. Yeah. Number one is the federal scheme. What do you mean by this federal scheme? Already we have understood that India is a country which is considered to be a federation. And when I am talking to you regarding 1935 Act, we made it very, very clear. We have spoken about the federal list, provincial list, and the concurrent list. So that is a mechanism how you divide the powers between the central government and the so-called the state governments. Of course, during that time, they have used the word provincial governments. But whatever it is, the concept of federation, what we have in India today, that concept was borrowed from 1935 Government of India Act. That is number one. Number two, kindly remember, always we know the meaning of the word federation, but the word federation is nowhere mentioned in the constitution. Meaning India is not a true federation. It is a Khasi federal. It is Khasi federal in nature. What is the meaning of this? Why I am using these words? We'll be trying to understand over a period of time. Subject is very, very large. Slowly we'll go into the depth of the subject. The more depth we go into the subject, the more subject knowledge will be acquiring, and that knowledge will be useful for us to understand so many things in the constitution. Am I clear? But for today, kindly remember, the concept of federal scheme was borrowed from Government of India Act of 1935. But the word federation is nowhere mentioned in the constitution. That is a point. Hopefully I'm clear. Now I'm moving to the second point, that is considered to be the office of governors. I'm opening the document here. So even this particular one was also taken from the Government of India Act of 1935. And if you look at the number 3, public service commissions. What do you mean by this? Public service commissions. Let me come back to you on the screen and let me explain you a few things regarding this. Public Service Commission is an organization that is very much mentioned in the Constitution today. So the Public Service Commissions are the constitutional authorities. And the basic purpose of the Public Service Commission is to conduct the examination for the government services. You know all the names. You know what is UPSC. It stands for Union Public Service Commission. And you know what is SPSC. It is the State Public Service Commission. Today, if you look at every state in the country, each state has got its own Public Service Commission, and that Public Service Commission is preceded by the name of the state. That is the reason if you go to Uttar Pradesh, it is called Uttar Pradesh Public Service Commission, Madhya Pradesh Public Service Commission, Maharashtra Public Service Commission, similarly Karnataka Public Service Commission, Telangana Public Service Commission, Andhra Pradesh Public Service Commission. Like this, every state has got its own Public Service Commission. And apart from this, Constitution also permitted the concept for joint public service commissions. When I'm using the word joint public service commission, it is nothing but it is a common public service commission which will be conducting examinations for more than one state. If it is exclusively for a state, that is called a State Public Service Commission. If it is conducting examination for 2 states, minimum 2 or more states, that is more than one, then it is called Joint Public Service Commission. It's again a bigger topic. when we come to the concept of public service commissions, I will explain you in a more detailed manner. But now I would like to tell you one point here. When we are talking about the public service commissions that we have adopted from Government of India Act of 1935, we have borrowed the concept of state public service commissions and the joint public service commissions. Of course, during the time, the state public service commission was called Provincial Public Service Commission. Okay, but during the discussion on historical background of the Indian Constitution, I made it very, very clear during the time, saying that the Federal Public Service Commission, today we are calling it Union Public Service Commission, that was established through the 1919 Act. We understood this point. Under 1919 Act, Federal Public Service Commission was established in the year 1926. That is a separate one. But here, whatever I am talking to you under Government of India Act, from there we have borrowed the concept of the state public service commissions and joint public service commissions. Am I clear? Next, I am going to the next one. Look at this. So we have borrowed federal scheme, we have borrowed office of governor, we have also borrowed the public service commissions from Government of India Act of 1935. Hopefully I'm clear. Kindly see here, you need to remember each and every point here. Anything may be a question in the examination, in any examination for that matter. Now I'm shifting my focus to the second source, that is United States of America, US Constitution. So this is again one of the important sources for the Indian Constitution. Look at the first one. I would like to tell you some points regarding the concept of this judicial review. What do you mean by this? So when I use the word judicial review, in our day one class, I told you the government has got three wings: legislature, executive, and the judiciary. One is the law making body, second one is the law implementing body, and the judiciary is considered to be law interpreting body. Meaning, at the time of making a law or at the time of implementation of a law, there may be certain problems. And some people may question the validity of this any law. During that time, what will happen? The people should have a place to question the government. As a citizen, every 5 years we are voting, there's a different concept. But the Constitution is permitting the people of the country to knock the doors of the judiciary. Hence, the judiciary will come to the rescue of the people whenever they face any problem, even from the government. But here I am talking to you something about the laws. So these laws, once they are passed, once they are implemented, they can be questioned in the court of law, that is the judiciary. And the judiciary will look into the validity of the law, whether this law has been made in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution or not. If this particular law is violating any other principles of the Constitution, or if this law is harming the citizens of India. Reason may be anything, but the judiciary has the right to review, meaning it will re-look into the law that was made and that is being implemented. If the judiciary finds any fault with this law, then obviously judiciary will nullify that particular law. That concept is called judicial review. Meaning the actions that are performed by the government can also be questioned in the court of law, and the judiciary will interfere, and this is called the judicial review. This is number one point. But the concept of judicial review, we have borrowed it from United States of America. But very, very important point is that the words judicial review are nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. They are nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Just now I told you the word federation is nowhere mentioned. Now I am telling you the words judicial review is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Meaning, though the words are not mentioned, the concept of judicial review is implicitly present in the Constitution. It is giving the right to the judiciary to interfere, to review the laws, and to nullify the laws. It can declare any law as a null and void. That is called judicial review, and that is what we got it from United States of America. This is a point I would like to tell you. But where? In which part of the Constitution or in which article of the Constitution the concept of judicial review is implicitly mentioned? When we come to that area, we'll have a discussion. When I talk to you regarding the fundamental rights, there I'll be talking to you again the concept of judicial review. Then it will be giving you much clarity. But for today, kindly remember the concept of judicial review was borrowed from American Constitution. But these words are nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Am I clear? So that is the point number one. Next, let me open the document again. Let me go to this. Look at this. We have another one, that is the fundamental rights. Okay. What exactly is this fundamental rights? Even the concept of fundamental rights also, we have borrowed it from United States of America. But what do you mean by this fundamental rights? In American Constitution, they are called Bill of Rights. And when it comes to India, we started using the words fundamental rights. These fundamental rights are nothing but the basic rights of the citizens of the country. Before the commencement of the Constitution, rather before independence, there was nothing like any fundamental rights for the people, and the people were subjected to so many atrocities in various forms by then government, the British government. So there were so many systems called Zamindari system, against that we have so much of criticism. Hence the constitutional fathers of India, they wanted to give certain fundamental rights to the people so that they will be enjoying lots of independence and the liberty. And when we start reading the Constitution, we'll understand that there are so many parts in the Constitution, and part 3 of the Indian Constitution talks about the concept of the fundamental rights. And according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of the Indian Constitution, great man, the father of the Indian Constitution has given highest priority to the concept of fundamental rights. That is the beauty of this. Part 3 of the Constitution. I'll be taking enough time during that discussion. We'll have a very, very detailed discussion regarding the fundamental rights. Then that will be useful for the examination. Number 2, that will also be helpful for us to educate ourselves more, and also that will be useful for educating the other people, the common people who are not aware of the Constitution. Okay, so this is the basic idea. And the concept of fundamental rights was borrowed from American Constitution. But let me tell you one point. When it comes to India, these fundamental rights, in the beginning, that is called original Constitution. Sometimes we will use the word original Constitution. Original Constitution is that Constitution as it was adopted and enforced. That is called the original Constitution. Later, we have made so many changes to our constitution, that is called amendments of the constitution. Once we started amending, it is no more original. That's the reason, kindly remember, if I am using the word constitution, I am talking about today's constitution. But during our discussion at any point of time, if I use the word original constitution, kindly let's go back to the beginning of the constitution. That is, in November 1949 we have adopted, and January 26, 1950 we have enforced. And regarding that constitution, I will be using the word original constitution. Now let me use this word again. In original constitution, 7 fundamental rights were mentioned. 7 fundamental rights were mentioned in the original constitution. Over a period of time, through the constitutional amendment, 1 fundamental right was deleted. Hence, the number of fundamental rights today in the Indian constitution is 6. Kindly remember this. There was a fundamental right by name right to property. That right to property was deleted through the 44th amendment. It happened in the year 1978. And the number became 6. Even today also in Indian constitution, the number is 6. And when we come to the concept of fundamental rights, I will explain you all the points, even including the right to property. We'll have a discussion on that one. But for today, kindly remember, the concept of judicial review was borrowed from American Constitution. The concept of fundamental rights was also borrowed from American Constitution. Hopefully I'm clear. Now, I'll go further. Let me open the document. Kindly see here. In this particular session, we are talking exclusively about the sources of the Indian Constitution. And my intention in this class is to make you aware of the sources, number 1. What is this principle and frame from where we have borrowed it. At the same time, my intention is also give you the idea regarding the meaning, the actual meaning of the each and every word or words I am going to use in this particular session. When it comes to the each one, we'll have a detailed discussion over a period of time. As we move further, each and every word what I am talking to you now, that will be part of our discussion. So hence we are talking about the judicial review. Hence we are also talking about the fundamental rights. We'll be talking about the public service commissions. The topic is not over. I'm just touching it. So in a detailed manner, I am going to talk to you regarding UPSC, state public service commissions and joint public service commissions, fundamental rights. So many things are there. We are just at the beginning of the constitution. Hence, I request you all to follow the classes very regularly. That is important for me. If you follow these classes very regularly, it will become easy for you to understand so many things what are happening in the society. Hence, the knowledge of the Indian Constitution is a must for each and every citizen in the country. Okay. Now, I'm going back to the document. Let me open the document again and say this. Next one is the independent judiciary. What is the meaning of the so-called this independent judiciary? When we use the word independent judiciary, since beginning, we have divided the powers between legislature, executive, and the judiciary. But when I am talking about the independent judiciary, with respect to the functioning of the judiciary, the government of the day or anybody cannot interfere with the working system of the judiciary. So many cases are present in the judiciary. Lakhs of cases are present. But very rarely, rather at no point of time, we talk in terms of the interference of anybody who is outside the judiciary into the functioning of the judiciary. If it is done, that will become a bigger issue. Until and unless enough independence is not given to the judiciary will not be in a position to give the impartial and neutral judgments. That's the reason even today also, starting from the beginning, we have highest respect and regards to the judiciary because of its independence, because of its integrity, because of its commitments. Sometimes, rather every time, we may criticize the functioning of the legislature in the country, how the parliament is functioning, how the parliament is getting disturbed, how the ruckus is happening in the parliament. So many things we are saying. At the same time, we may have certain allegations against the ministers, which is the part of the executive. But when it comes to the judiciary, since the beginning, judiciary is very nicely and effectively maintaining its integrity. That's the reason, if there is any issue also, there are certain minor issues maybe there. But still, even today also, we have respect, highest regard for the judiciary that is present in the country. Hence, the people even today, starting from the beginning, even today also, the people are going and knocking the doors of the judiciary, expecting that they are getting the justice from the judiciary. That is the beauty of the judiciary in India. Next, I am talking about the sources of the Indian Constitution and what we borrowed from US Constitution. Next one is the impeachment procedure of the president. What is the meaning of this impeachment procedure? Now, on day one, we have understood that at the highest level, we have somebody called the President of India. He is considered to be the head of the nation, he is the head of the state, and he is the first citizen of the nation. So many things we said regarding this great office, that is President's office, Rashtrapati Bhavan. The Constitution has provided a mechanism how the President of India will be elected. The President of India is elected through an indirect election method, and the election process will be done through a procedure called proportional representation by means of a single transferable vote. When I will talk to you regarding election of the president, I will explain you what exactly is the procedures. Unlike our Lok Sabha and Assembly elections, it is not a direct election. A special procedure is followed for electing the President of India. Once the President is elected, he will be holding the office for a period of 5 years. But the Constitution also provided a mechanism where the President can be removed, and that is called impeachment. And the procedure is so tough in the Indian Constitution that it is almost impossible to remove the President of India. That is the reason why, starting from the first President, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, till now, no president was removed in India. No president was impeached. But the Constitution has provided a mechanism where the president can be removed, and tomorrow, if the situation demands at any point of time, maybe in the future, the president can be removed. Rather, the president can be impeached only according to the procedure that is mentioned in the Constitution. And what is that procedure? That procedure we have borrowed it from American Constitution. Hope you are getting it. When I talk to you regarding the President of India, I will explain you so many things. How he will be elected, how he will continue the office, what is the term, what is his salary, everything I'll tell you. At the same time, I will also explain you what is the procedure for removing the President of India. Of course, we don't have any live examples because no President of India was removed so far. Okay, Kindly remember this. The impeachment procedure of the President of India was borrowed from American Constitution. Okay, next. I'm going to the next one. Look at this. The Vice President of India is acting as a chairman of the upper house. Very important one. Very frequently asked question again in the examination. What do you mean by this, Vice President? Now, the Constitution of India, apart from providing the President at the highest level, at the second level, it has provided an office called the Vice President. This is very respectful and honorable position here. The Vice President is considered to be the second citizen of the nation. First citizen being the President of India. And the Constitution also provided a mechanism or method how the Vice President of India will be elected. Again, when we talk about the Vice President, I'll tell you the whole procedures. But here, whoever is elected as a Vice President, that gentleman will be acting as the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the upper house. If you want, you can watch our Rajya Sabha sessions. In that Rajya Sabha, there is a chairman, and that chairman is Hamid Ansari. This gentleman got elected as a vice president, and whoever is getting elected as a vice president, his fundamental duty is the acting as a chairman of the upper house, that is nothing but the Rajya Sabha. This is the main function of the vice president. Okay, we are not electing anybody as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. We are electing somebody as the Vice President of India. Whoever is getting elected as the Vice President of India, he will automatically become the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. That is called ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Vice President of India is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, means whoever is the Vice President, he will be acting as a chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Today, Rajya Sabha chairman is Hamid Ansari because he is the Vice President of India. Hopefully I'm clear. This is the point. This concept also we have borrowed it from American Constitution. Give me a minute. American Constitution. In America also, in the parliament, there are two houses. In India, we use the word parliament, whereas in America, they use the word Congress. Congress, in the sense, it is the Parliament of America. And in India, we have the upper house. That upper house is called Council of States, Rajya Sabha. In America, the upper house is called Senate. And that Senate chairman is the Vice President. Whoever is the Vice President of America, he is the chairman of the upper house of American Congress. That is the chairman for Senate. And whatever we are following today, we borrowed the same concept from the so-called American Constitution. That is regarding the Vice President. But kindly remember, I would like to tell you one point here. Just a fundamental point. We have the President of India, and the term of the President is 5 years. Remember this. The term of the President is 5 years. Similarly, we have the Vice President, and the Vice President term is also 5 years. This is one place where the President of India and the Vice President of India, the term differs from American President and American Vice President. In America, the term of the President is 4 years. In America, the term of the Vice President is also 4 years. Okay? Once they are elected, they'll be there for a period of 4 years. But whereas in India, it is 5 years. Kindly remember this particular point, number one. But otherwise, American Vice President is also acting as a chairman of the upper house, that is Senate. India also borrowed the same concept. Hence, Indian Vice President is acting as the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Okay, now let me show you another point. This is the removal of the Supreme Court and High Court judges. So again, it's an elaborate topic, and we have the procedure for removing the Supreme Court and High Court judges in India, and that procedure is also mentioned very much in the Constitution. How exactly they will be removed? When I come to the topic, I will have a detailed discussion again. But kindly remember, so far, no Supreme Court judge, no High Court judge have been removed. Of course, the procedure was initiated, but the procedure was not successful. That's the reason why the whole procedure did not continue for a long period of time. That is number one. Hence, kindly remember, so far, not even a single president of India, not even a single judge of the Supreme Court, not even a single judge of the High Court were removed. But when we come to the topic called High Court and Supreme Court judges, I'll tell you what is the procedure that the Constitution has provided for removing them. Is it okay? So these are the points regarding the sources of the Indian Constitution with respect to the, what is this called? Two things we have seen. One is Government of India Act 1935, and second one is the United States of America Constitution and what we have borrowed. Is it okay? So, and kindly remember all these points here, and in the next session will be take up the remaining areas and we'll try to complete the sources of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me again for the second session today. Okay, so see you in the next session. So thank you so much. Take care.